Okay. Hello, everybody. This is Politico, and welcome back to the Pressroom. This has been a long-awaited thing, but I'm glad to be here. So, we are just waiting for the debate. I gotta adjust my camera a little bit. Nope. This will do. No. There we go. We are just waiting here to broadcast. Not broadcast. We are just waiting to watch the simulcast of the first presidential debate between candidates Joseph R. Biden and Donald J. Trump, who is the former president of the United States. And we are just waiting here because it is currently 7:45 my time. Everything for me in this case, everything starts at 8, but I think this is a simulcast, so everything's going to start at like 9 p.m. Eastern time and 8 p.m. Central Daylight Time. That's where I am. You know, I'm doing the Central Daylight Time. So we don't have the audio on for this broadcast right now because it's not the actual debate. But once it starts, we're as I just said, once. Wow, I just lost my train of thought. We'll have the audio playing for you when the debate actually starts. But right now we're just waiting. So, but hopefully everybody is doing good. I know I am. But I am just here. And we are just waiting here for probably one of the most watched events in television in a long time. At least from what I heard anyway. I think this is something that a lot of people are going to watch. But we are here and things are going, but welcome back to the press room. So I'm just keeping track of the time here. I don't think things are started yet. But as usual, the press room is open if anyone wants to come in and say a few words. But that is on my Discord, which you can get if you look at my channel and you see the Discord link. You can join it, and then you can request to be a part of the press room as a guest correspondent. But here we are. I was wondering if something was starting. I was getting worried. I was like, oh crap, did I miss something? I don't think I did. I have to be pretty precise here because things are just starting to pick up. This is supposed to be a simulcast, so hopefully we'll be on time. We might be a few minutes behind, but you know, we'll get everything across. We're using a virtual green screen here, so we'll see how well that is. But you know, this is Politico, and we are currently waiting for stream chat. I'm gonna get stream chat on. There we go. It's probably just easier to have it up on Discord. I didn't even realize that was a thing. I mean, I have that on my Discord. You can keep up with the chat there. I don't think you can reply there. You know, if you want to actually like interact and stuff, you're gonna want to do the Twitch chat or YouTube chat. I'm streaming on both. I stream on both these days. So it's a little slow right now, but that's just because we are waiting to get into the meat and potatoes, which is former President Donald J. Trump and current President Joseph R. Biden. And we are waiting to hear what both candidates have to say. I'm trying not to broadcast the audio about the other content. I just want to broadcast debate audio. So it's a little quiet at the moment. I don't want to put in music right now because it's so close, but we'll put in some stream music later just to brighten up the mood a little bit. Maybe I can do that. Maybe I can. But currently we are just waiting here, waiting for the debate to pick up. Let's see. Maybe I can put something up. Let's see. But we're going to have to look for it pretty quick. We don't have a whole lot of time. We only got like 10 minutes. So let's see what we can do. Let's take a look. Documents, I think. Let's see. Trying to find some music here. It looks like is this live? Is this live? Do I have to put it back on? The border that's overrun. It's overrun with immigrants. Joe Biden, Joseph R. Biden, is keeping everything open. With them open borders policies that's hurting our economy and destroying our jobs. Ain't that right? I think. Looking for some music to play. So right now, PBS is talking about migrants. That's a fun talking point. Let's see. I want music. Let's see. Constitution and patriotic music. Let's do... I want to do punk. It's not really punk yet. Let's do jazz. You won't hear that yet. Okay, now you can, and now I will turn this down so the mic won't hurt your ears. But we're just waiting. Welcome to the Paul Politico Press Room. I am your host, Paul Politico, and we are just waiting for Joseph R. Biden and Donald J. Trump to be talking in the first presidential debate of 2024. It is wild, and I am surprised that is actually happening. I am just as shocked as you are, ladies, germs, and everyone in between. But currently, we are just waiting here. Waiting for things to get started. I believe it's going to be... One of the stipulations for the debate is that all of the mics will be muted. So we have to keep that in mind, that hopefully Trump decides not to scream. You know, hopefully Biden decides not to fall asleep. We will find out, and we will see in real time, I think. I think we might be a few minutes behind, but we will be there. And we will see it. But it's currently 7:53. Yes, I do. I do remember you. And welcome. Welcome to the stream. So that one played. Now I want to play. Let's do this one. But is that the debate? What is this? What is happening? No, they're just talking. I don't know. I have to be really careful. I'm gonna take a quick bathroom break before we have to broadcast stuff, but I'll be here relatively. I'll be right there. Sorry about that. We're here, and we're just waiting for the debate to start. It is currently 7:55. 7:55 Central. Is it Central Daylight Time? But, you know, we're waiting for the simulcast to start because it's going to be very interesting for everybody. We're just waiting for the debate to get started. We still have about 5 minutes, I think. I just want audio to play. But let's do this one. I don't want to do... Currently, we're just waiting. And I know, it's a little slow, but there's not a whole lot we can do. We have to wait for both candidates to stumble onto the stage. And right now, PBS is just playing old clips and talking points from left-wingers and right-wingers about like, hey, this is what they're going to talk about, but I want to hear what the actual candidates are going to talk about in real time. So, in order for that, we got to wait a little bit. But, you know, to everybody who's here, welcome. To everybody who's not here yet, you should come! Also, the press room is open if anyone wants to chat. And this is a voice channel on my Discord. I don't know, someone on phones. But right now, you know, we're just waiting. Yeah, it's kind of slow before we wait for these things. Are they doing stuff yet? 7:57. Nope, it's not there yet. They're just rebroadcasting old stuff. I don't want to broadcast copyrighted content. Oh my god! Yeah. So, we're currently just waiting to hear from the two presidential candidates. Was there any doubt? Was there any doubt it was going to be, you know, still just waiting. Okay. I think it's getting close with that music there. Just waiting here. So it's a little slow. But you know what? It happens. We just gotta wait for the actual stuff to start. It's 7:59. I'm gonna go ahead. Let's hope I don't get a DMCA notice.
It will look like in 4 years from now, and who's fighting for those voters.
And Francesca, meantime, the Trump campaign is trying to recalibrate and raise expectations for Joe Biden.
I think I'm
on
right
this debate.
time.
I mean, how tall of an order is that, given that President Trump has spent the better part of a year saying that Joe Biden is cognitively impaired and not up to the job?
Oh, yeah.
Right. Now they're trying to raise expectations and say he's going to show up and be very highly alert, that what you should expect
Does
is
that mean
more
he's going to be
like
on
his State
crack
of the
like his
Union
son?
performance or his 2012 debate performance against Paul Ryan. At the same
down a
time,
little bit.
you know, the
I mean,
Biden
you don't know.
campaign has also, in a way, lowered expectations for Trump by suggesting that he would come out there and perhaps had the debate performance that he had in 2020 in the first debate performance, rather than maybe the one that he had in the second debate. So a tall order for both
Suppose a
candidates
start,
to clear
but
the
it's like,
expectations
come
their
on.
own campaigns have set for the other one.
Thanks for joining our preview of tonight's CNN presidential debate. Up next, PBS News' special simulcast coverage of the big event.
Is this just a simulcast? I want the real thing. Let me just...
Hi, everyone, and welcome to this PBS News special, the CNN presidential debate simulcast. I'm Amna Nawaz.
And I'm Jeff Bennett. This is the first of 2 scheduled debates, and it comes before Joe Biden and Donald Trump are officially named their party's nominees.
Oh, boy.
It's also the first chance for voters to see them side by side on the same stage in this election cycle. And during the debate, you can check out a fact-checking blog by PolitiFact on our website.
We'll be back after the debate with our reporters and analysts.
Okay, I
But
was
for the
wondering if this
moment,
was gonna
we
happen.
join Jake Tapper and Dana Bash at CNN, who are moderating tonight's debate in Atlanta.
The American people with just over 4 months until Election Day. Good evening, I'm Dana Bash, anchor of CNN's Inside Politics. and
Welcome.
co-anchor
Welcome.
of
This is Paul Politico.
18.
Welcome to the debate, the first debate.
CNN's The Lead and co-anchor
I'm just going to make sure that
Dan
we're
and
not
I
going to get
will
striked
co-moderate
here,
this
so we're
evening.
just
Our
going to
job
like...
is to facilitate a debate between the 2 candidates tonight. Before
Everything
we
looks
introduce
good.
them, we want to share the rules of the debate with the audience at home. Former President Trump will be on the left
I'm gonna
side
watch
of the
this.
screen. President Biden will be appearing 2 minutes
The
to
debate.
answer a question.
Oh my
and
goodness.
1 minute each for responses and rebuttals. An additional minute for follow-up clarification
Debate time.
or response
Oh
is
my
at
goodness.
the moderator's discretion.
Very excited.
When it's time for a candidate to speak, his microphone will be turned on.
This is a very
and his
interesting
opponent's
development
microphone will be
because
turned
during
off.
last time's
Should a candidate
debates,
interrupt when
last
his
debate
microphone is
cycle,
muted, he will
Donald
be
Trump and Joe
difficult to
Biden had a lot of
understand
problems
for-
with their
At
mics.
the end of the debate, each candidate will get 2 minutes for closing statements. There is no studio audience tonight.
No.
Pre-written notes, props, or contact
No.
with campaign staff are not permitted during the debate.
Oh, wow.
By accepting our invitation to debate, both candidates and their campaigns agreed to accept these rules.
Now, please welcome the
I'm
46th
surprised.
President of the United States,
Wow.
Joe Biden.
No. No. How are you, Joe? Sleepy Joe.
Great to be here. Thank you.
He sounds tired.
And please welcome the 45th President of the United States, Donald. Here, let's begin the debate, and let's start with the issue that voters consistently say is their top concern, the economy. President Biden, inflation has slowed, but prices remain high. Since you took office, the price of essentials has increased. For example, a basket of groceries that cost $100 then now costs more than $120. And
I agree,
typical home
inflation is
prices
really
have jumped
bad.
More than 30%.
Even in the place
what
that
do you
I'm
say to
in.
voters who feel they are worse off under your presidency
This is
than
totally
they
a
were
valid
under
concern.
President Trump?
We got to take a look at what I was left when I became president.
He sounds
What
very
Mr. Trump
tired.
left me. We had an economy that was in
Oh,
free fall.
man. This is what
Pandemic
I've
was
been
so
waiting
badly
for.
handled. Many people were dying. All he said was, it's not that serious. Just inject a little bleach into your arm. You'll be all right. The economy collapsed. There were no jobs. Unemployment rate rose to 15%. It was terrible. And so what we had to do is try to put things, we brought out in the position where we have 800,000 new manufacturing jobs, but there's more to be done. There's more to be done. Working class people are still in trouble. I come from Scranton, Pennsylvania. I come of a household where the kitchen table, if the things weren't able to be met during the month, it was a problem. Price of eggs, the price of gas, the price of housing, the price of a whole range of things. That's why I'm working so hard to make sure I deal with those problems. In the new units, we're going to make sure we cap rents so corporate greed can't take over. The combination, what I was left with in corporate greed, is the reason why we're in this problem right now. In addition to that, we're in a situation where if you take a look at all that was done in his administration, he didn't do much at all. By the time he left, things were in chaos, literally chaos. And so we put things back together. We created, I said, those jobs. We make sure we had a situation where we now We brought down the price of prescription drugs, which is a major issue for many people, to $15 for any drug, all the drugs they can include beginning next year.
Wow,
And the
this is.
situation and we're going to make that available to everybody, to all Americans.
So he's
we're
trying to
working bring
pivot the
down price
fact
of
that
around
the
kitchen
Biden
table,
administration
and that's what we're
is
gonna
trying to
get
lower prescription drug
Thank you, President
prices.
Trump.
So,
We have the greatest economy in the history of our country.
wow, I haven't heard him speak in a
Never
long
done
time.
so well. Everybody was amazed by it. Other countries were copying us. We got hit with COVID, and when we did, we spent the money necessary so we wouldn't end up in a lot of credit for the economy, a lot of credit for the military, and no wars and
I have
so
a
many
cat
other
here.
things.
That's
Everything
pretty
was
close to my.
rocking good.
No,
But the thing we never got the credit for, and we should have,
Bit
is
close
getting
to the
us out
power
of that
supply.
COVID mess.
That was-
He
that was
created
close.
mandates that was a disaster for our country. But other than that, we had given them back a country where the stock market actually was higher than pre-COVID, and nobody thought that was even possible. The only jobs he created are for illegal immigrants and bounce-back jobs, a bounce back from the COVID. He has not done a good job.
COVID.
He's done a poor job, and inflation's killing our country. It is absolutely killing us.
Thank you. President Biden?
Well, look, the greatest economy in the world. He's the only one who thinks that, I think. I don't know anybody else who thinks he had the greatest economy in the world. And, you know, the fact of the matter is that we found ourselves in a situation where his economy, he rewarded the wealthy. He had the largest tax cut in American history, $2 trillion. He raised a deficit larger than any president has in any one term. He's the only president other than Herbert
Joe Biden
Hoover
sounds
who
really
lost
tired.
more jobs than he had when he began, since Herbert Hoover. The idea that he did something that was significant. And the military, you know, when he was president, they were still killing people in Afghanistan. He didn't do anything about that. When he was president, we were still finding ourselves in a position where you had a notion that we were this safe country.
I'm not
Truth
trying to
is,
focus on
I'm
what
the only
Biden's
president
saying. It's
this
hard.
century that doesn't have any, this decade, that doesn't have any troops dying anywhere in the world like he did.
President Trump, I want to follow up if I can.
Am I allowed to respond to him?
Well, I'm going to ask you a follow-up.
Oh,
You can do
boy.
whatever you
Here
want
it
in
is.
the minute that we give you. I want to follow up. You want to impose a 10% tariff on all goods coming into the
What?
U.S. How will you ensure that that doesn't drive prices even higher?
Oh,
It's
well.
not going to drive them higher. It's just going to cost countries that have been ripping us off for years, like China and many
China.
others, in all fairness to China. It's going
China.
to just force them to pay us a lot of money, reduce our deficit tremendously, and give us a lot of power for other things. But he made a statement. The only thing he was right about is I gave you the largest tax cut in history. I also gave you the
largest tax
regulation
cut for
in
millionaires.
history. That's why we had all the jobs. And the jobs went down, and then they bounced back, and he's taking credit for bounce-back jobs. You can't do that. He also said he inherited 9%, and then it blew up under his leadership because they spent money like a bunch of people that didn't know what they were doing, and they don't know what they were doing. It was the worst, probably the worst administration in history. There's never been. And as far as Afghanistan is concerned,
Afghanistan.
I was getting out of Afghanistan.
Guys,
but we were getting
Afghanistan.
out with dignity, with strength, with power. He got out. It was the most embarrassing day in the history of our country's life.
President Trump,
Afghanistan
over the last
pullout was
8
pretty
years,
bad.
Under both of your
I have to be
administrations, the
real.
national debt soared to record highs. And according to a new nonpartisan analysis, President Trump, your administration approved $8.4 trillion in new debt, while so far, President Biden, you've approved $4.3 trillion in new debt. So, former President Trump, many of the tax cuts that you signed into law are set to expire next year. You want to extend them and go even further, you say. With the U.S. facing trillion-dollar deficits and record debt, why should top earners and corporations pay even less in taxes than they do now?
Because the tax cuts spurred the greatest economy that we've ever seen just prior to COVID and even after
really?
COVID. It was so
No,
strong
not
that we were
after
able to
COVID.
get through COVID much better than just about any other country. But we spurred, that tax spurred. Now, when we cut the taxes, as an example, the corporate tax was cut down to 21% from 39%, plus beyond that.
I think that was a terrible
we took in
idea.
more revenue with much less tax, and companies were bringing back trillions of dollars back
'Cause
into our country.
trickle-down
The
economics
country
as a
was
myth.
going like never before. And we were ready to start paying down debt. We were ready to start using the liquid gold right under our feet, the oil and gas right under our feet. We were going to have something that nobody else has had. We got
Wow.
hit with COVID. We did a lot to fix it. I gave him an unbelievable situation with all of the therapeutics and all of the things that we came up with. We gave him something great. Remember, more people died under his administration, even though we had largely fixed it. More people died under his administration.
Joe
than
Biden
our
looks like he's
administration,
losing
and we were
hair.
right in the middle of
Is he
it.
going bald?
Something which a lot of people don't like to talk
Also,
about.
I think
but he had far more
Trump's
people dying
hair
in his administration.
is all
He did
white.
the
It used
mandate
to
that people most objected to about the vaccine, and he did a very poor job, just a very poor job. And I will tell you, not only poor there, but throughout the entire world, we're no longer respected as a country. They don't respect our leadership. They don't respect the United States anymore. We're like a third world nation. But the things he's done, we've become like a third world nation, and it's a shame. The damage he's done to our country.
This is
and
so
I'd
negative.
love to ask him, and will, why he allowed millions of people to come in here from prisons, jails, and mental institutions to come into our country and destroy our country.
President Trump, we will get to immigration later in this block. President Biden, I want to give you an opportunity to respond to this question about the national debt.
He had the largest national debt of any president in a 4-year period, number one. Number two,
Welcome
that
to the
$2
stream.
trillion tax cut benefited the very wealthy. What I'm going to do is fix the tax system. For example, we have 1,000 trillionaires in America. I mean, billionaires.
Well, good morning.
And what's happening? They're in a situation where
It looks like Joe
they
Biden
pay
just woke up, too.
8.2% in taxes.
He was
If they
probably
just
woke
paid
up like 5 minutes
24%,
before debate. He was like, "Oh,
25%,
I gotta wake up. I gotta talk
they'd
today."
raise
And he's like,
$500
"Hey guys,
billion dollars, I should say.
Hey, guys.
in a 10-year period.
I gotta
We'd be
talk."
able to wipe out his debt. We'd be able to help make sure that all those things we need to do, child care, elder care, making sure that we continue to strengthen our health care system, making sure that we're able to make every single solitary person eligible for what I've been able to do with the with the COVID. Excuse me, with dealing with
Oh man.
everything we have to do with. Look,
Oh no.
President Trump.
Oh, that was really
He's right.
bad.
He did beat Medicare. He beat it to death, and he's destroying Medicare because
What?
all of these
Wow.
people are coming in. They're putting them on Medicare. They're putting them on Social Security. They're going to destroy Social Security. This man is going to single-handedly destroy Social Security. These millions and millions of people
He's talking
coming
about
in,
all
they're
the
trying to put
migrants
them on Social
are
Security. He will
destroying Social
wipe out
Security. That's what Donald
Social
Trump's saying.
Security. He will wipe out Medicare. So he was right in the way he finished that sentence. And it's a shame. What's happened to our country in the last 4 years is not to be believed.
Joe Biden
Foreign
malfunction?
countries- I'm friends with a lot of people.
Looks like
they
he
cannot believe
malfunctioned.
what happened to the United States of America. We're no longer respected. They don't like us. We give them everything they want, and they think we're stupid. They think we're very stupid people. What we're doing for other countries, and they do nothing for us. What this man has done is absolutely criminal.
Oh
Thank you,
wow.
President Trump.
Whoa,
Dana?
whoa.
This is the first presidential election since the Supreme Court overturned Roe v. Wade. This
boy.
morning, the court ruled on yet another abortion case, temporarily allowing emergency abortions to continue in Idaho, despite that state's restrictive ban. Former President Trump, you take credit for the decision to overturn Roe v. Wade, which returned the issue of abortion to the states.
Correct.
However, the federal government still plays a role in whether or not women have access to abortion pills. They're used in about 2/3 of all abortions. As president, would you
He's like
block
this.
abortion medication?
First of all, the Supreme Court just approved the abortion pill, and I agree with their decision to have done that. And I will
Interesting.
not block it. And if you look at this whole question that you're asking, complex but not really complex. 51 years ago,
President Trump is
you had
not
Roe v. Wade, and
against
everybody
abortion.
wanted
Let's
to
be
get
real.
it back to the states. Everybody, without exception, Democrats, Republicans, liberals, conservatives, everybody wanted it back. Religious leaders. And what I did is I put 3 great Supreme Court justices on the court, and they happened to vote in favor of killing Roe v. Wade and moving it back to the states. This is something that everybody wanted. Now, 10
Everybody
years ago or so,
according
they started
to
talking
Donald
about
Trump's
how many
base.
weeks and how many this, getting into other things. But every legal scholar throughout the world, the most respected, wanted it brought back to the states. I did that. Now the states are working it out. If you look at Ohio, it was a decision that was an end result that was a little bit more liberal than you would have thought. Kansas, I would say the same thing. Texas is different.
Kansas
Florida's
more
different.
liberal? I
But
don't
they're all
see
making their own
that.
decisions right now. And right now,
Kansas
the states
can't be more
control it.
liberal.
That's
I don't.
the vote of the
no.
people. Like Ronald
Seriously?
Reagan, I believe in the exceptions. I am a person that believes. And frankly, I think it's important to believe in the exceptions. Some people, you have to follow your heart. Some people don't believe in that. But I believe in the exceptions for rape, incest, and the life of the mother. I think it's very important. Some people don't. Follow your heart, but you have to get elected also, and because that has to do with other things. You got to get elected. The problem they have is they're radical because they will take the life of a child in the 8th month, the 9th month, and even after birth. After birth, if you look at the
So now
former governor of
President
Virginia,
Trump is
he was willing
pills
to kill the
anymore.
baby.
This is a baby. This is a baby
What
now.
happened is we brought
This
it
is
back to the states, and the country
supposed to be
is now
really
coming
heartfelt
together on this issue. It's been a great thing.
attack on
Thank you.
abortion. This
President
is a
Biden?
very
It's been a
common
terrible
right
thing,
wing
what you've done.
right.
And that's this idea that they're all against it is just ridiculous. And this is the guy who says the state should be able to have it. We're in a state where in 6 weeks, you don't even know whether you're pregnant or not, but you cannot see a doctor, and have him decide on what your circumstances are, whether you need help. The idea that states are able to do this is a little like saying we're going to turn civil rights back to the states. Let each state have a different rule. Look, there's so many young women who have been, including a young woman who just was murdered, and he went to the funeral. The idea that she was murdered by an immigrant coming in, they talk about that. But here's the deal: there's a lot of young women who are being raped by their in-laws, by their spouses, brothers and sisters, it's just ridiculous, and they can do nothing about it. And they try to arrest them when they cross state lines.
Thank you.
Oh,
There
wow.
have been many young women murdered by the same people he allows to come across our border. We have a border that's the most dangerous place anywhere in the world, considered the most dangerous place anywhere in the world. And he opened it up, and these killers are coming into our country, and they are raping and killing women. And it's a terrible thing. As far as the abortion is concerned, it is now back with the states. The states are voting. In many cases, it's frankly a very liberal decision. In many cases, it's the opposite. But they're voting, and it's bringing it back to the vote of the people, which is what everybody wanted, including the founders, if they knew about this issue, which, frankly, they didn't. But they would have. Everybody wanted brought back. Ronald Reagan had tried to get it back. I was the one to do it. And again, this gives it the vote of the people, and that's where they wanted it. Every legal scholar wanted it that way.
Staying on the topic of abortion, President Biden, 7 states, I'll let you do that. This is the same topic. 7 states have no legal restrictions on how far into a pregnancy a woman can obtain an abortion. Do you support any legal limits
turn the
on
quality
how late
down.
a woman should be able to terminate a pregnancy?
Let's put
I support
it.
Roe
Sorry.
v. Wade.
There we go.
which had 3
Maybe that'll
trimesters.
help. I don't know.
First time is between the woman and the doctor. Second time is between the doctor and an extreme situation. The third time is between the doctor, between the woman and the state. The idea that the politicians, that the founders wanted the politicians to be the ones making decisions about women's health is ridiculous. That's the last. No politician should be making that decision. A doctor should be making those decisions. That's
Trump's
how it should
like-
be run. That's what you're going to do. And if I'm elected, I'm going to restore Roe v. Wade.
That's what it looks like. It's really
You
funny.
can take the life of the baby in the 9th month
The baby.
and even after birth, because some states, Democrat run, take it after birth. Again, the former governor of Virginia, put the baby down, then we decide what to do with it. So he's willing to, as we say, rip the baby out of the womb in the 9th
baby.
month and kill the baby. Nobody wants that to happen, Democrat or Republican. Nobody wants it to happen.
That is simply
Oh.
not true.
Oh, wow.
That Roe v. Wade does not provide for that. That's not the circumstance.
It's like, you're
When a
lying.
woman's life
Wow.
is in danger. She's going to die. That's the only circumstance in which that can happen.
They're already
But
trying
we
to
are
interrupt
not
each
for
other.
late-term abortion,
Holy crap.
Period.
Under Roe v. Wade, you have late-term abortion. You can do whatever you want, depending on the state. You can do whatever you want. We don't think that's a good thing. We think it's a radical thing. We think the Democrats are the radicals, not the Republicans.
For 51
What?
years, that
Wow.
was the law. 51 years, constitutional scholarship said it was the right way to go. 51 years, and it was taken away because this guy put very conservative members on the Supreme Court. He takes credit for taking it away. What's he going to
does.
do? What's he going to do, in fact, if the MAGA Republicans, he gets elected, and the MAGA Republicans control the Congress, and they pass a universal ban on abortion, period, across the board. And 6
Honestly,
weeks or
this
7 or 8
election
or
is
10
going to be
something very, very
up
conservative.
to
Is
the
he gonna
people
sign that
who
bill? I'll veto
either you
it.
believe
He'll
in
sign it.
abortion or you don't believe in abortion. It's become a battle in all the state elections. It's a matter of abortion.
The southern border on your watch. overwhelming border states and overburdening cities such as New York and Chicago.
Donald
and in
Trump
some
has been
cases,
trying
causing real safety and
to
security concerns.
make this
Given
election
that,
about
why should
immigration
voters trust you
and
to solve this crisis?
inflation.
Because we worked very
And
hard
Joe
to get a
Biden is
bipartisan
trying to
agreement
make
that not
this
only changed all of
election
that,
about
made sure
abortion.
that we are in a situation where you had no circumstance where they could come across the border with the number of border police there are now. We significantly increased the number of asylum officers. Significantly, by the way, the Border Patrol endorsed my position. In addition to that, we found ourselves in a situation where, when he was president, he was separating babies from their mothers, putting them in cages, making sure the families were separated. That's not the right way to go. What I've done since I've changed the law, what's happened? I've changed it in a way that now you're in a situation where there are 40% fewer people coming across the border illegally. It's better than when he left office. And I'm going to continue to move until we get the total ban on the total initiative.
Oh man, Biden.exe is
more
not
Border Patrol
working.
And more asylum officers.
He's just like,
President Trump?
he's trying so hard.
He said at the end of that sentence, I don't think he knows what he said either. Look, we had
Oh,
the safest
boy.
border in the history of our country. The border, all he had to do was leave it. People that are from prisons, people that are from mental institutions, insane asylum.
This
terrorists.
talking
We have the
point was
largest number of
brought up
terrorists coming
before.
into our country
He's talking
right now. All
about
terrorists,
how he thinks
all over the
immigration
world,
is
not
ruining
just
the
in South
country.
America, all over the world.
Immigration
In
is
fact, from
ruining the
Middle East,
country
everywhere. All
at
over the
rates
world, they're pouring in.
unseen
And this guy
before.
just left it open. And he didn't need legislation because I didn't have legislation. I said, close the border. We had the safest border in history. In that final couple of months of my presidency.
Oh,
we had,
man.
according to Border Patrol, who is great, and by the way, who endorsed me for president, but I won't say that, but they endorsed me for president. Brandon, just speak to him. But look, we had the safest border in history. Now we have the worst border in history. There's never been anything like it. And people are dying all over the place, including the people that are coming up in
Thank you,
caravans.
President Trump. President Biden?
The only terrorist who's done anything crossing the border is one who came along and killed three, under his administration, killed an Al-Qaeda person coming in his administration, killed three American soldiers. That's the only terrorist that's there. I'm not saying that no terrorist ever got through, but the idea they're emptying their prisons, we're welcoming these people, that's simply not true. There's no data to support what he said. Once again, he's exaggerating, he's lying.
President Trump, staying on the topic of immigration, you've said that you're going to carry out, quote, the largest domestic deportation operation in American history, unquote. Does that mean that you will deport every undocumented immigrant in America, including those who have jobs, including those whose spouses are citizens, and including those who have lived here for decades? And if so, how will you do it?
Daddy.
Oh, there it
and
is.
Soleimani, the two greatest,
Biggest
terrorists anywhere in the world.
Abu
and it had a huge impact
Bakr
on everything, not just border, on
al-Baghdadi.
everything. He's the one that killed people with
I
the
remember
bad water,
that.
including hundreds of thousands of people dying and also killing our citizens when they come in.
Abu
We are living right now
Bakr
in a rat's nest. They're killing our
al-Baghdadi.
people in New York and border. And because of his ridiculous, insane, and very stupid policies, people are coming in and they're killing our citizens at a level that we've never seen. We call it migrant crime. I call it Biden migrant crime.
Biden migrant crime. I don't know why I have a good
before.
Trump voice
And you're
today.
reading it like these three incredible young girls over the last few days. One of them, I just spoke to the mother, and they just had the funeral for this girl, 12 years old. This is horrible what's taking place.
This is horrible,
what's taking place in our
guys.
country. We're literally an uncivilized country now. He doesn't want it to be. He just doesn't know. He opened the borders. Nobody's ever seen anything like. And we have to get a lot of these people out, and we have to get them out fast.
It's
because
all
they're gonna destroy
Harambe's
our
fault.
country. Just take a look
If
at where they're
Harambe
living.
didn't
They're
die,
living
then
in
none of this would have
luxury
happened.
hotels in New York City and other places. Our veterans are on the street. They're dying because he
Horrible.
doesn't care about our veterans.
So
He doesn't
horrible.
care. He doesn't like the military
It's very,
at all. And he doesn't care about our
Get
veterans.
him out
Nobody
fast.
did worse. I had the highest approval rating for veterans taking care of the VA. He has the worst. He's gotten rid of all the things that I approved. Choice, that I got through Congress. All of the different things I approved, they abandoned. We had by far the highest, and now it's down in less than half because he's done all these great things that we did. And I think he did it just because I approved it, which is crazy. but he has killed so many people at our border by
Thank you,
allowing
President Trump.
all of these people to come in.
President
and it's
Biden?
a very sad day.
I'm turning it into an
Biden,
immigration
Every
issue.
single thing
Wow,
you said
okay,
is
now
a
the
lie.
Trump voice is bad.
Every single one.
It used to be
For
good.
example, veterans are a hell of a lot better off since I passed the PACT Act. 1 million of them now have insurance, and their families
like-
have it. Their families have it because what happened, whether it was Agent Orange or
Very
burn
sad
pits,
day.
they're all being covered now, and his group opposed that. We're also in a situation where we have great respect for veterans. My son spent a year in Iraq, living right next to one of those burn pits. Came back with stage 4 glioblastoma. I was recently in
that is
in
cancer,
France,
by the
for
way.
D-Day, and I spoke all about those heroes that died. I went to the World War I cemetery he refused to go to. He was standing with his 4-star general, and he told me, he said, "I'm the sucker, you're the loser."
President Trump?
First of all, that was a made-up quote, suckers and losers. They made it up. It was in a third-rate magazine that's failing, like many of these magazines.
Oh, my.
He made that up. He put it in commercials. We've notified him. We had 19 people that said I didn't say it. And think of this. Who would say I'm at a cemetery or I'm talking about our veterans? Because nobody's taken better care. I'm so glad this came up, and he brought it up. There's nobody that's taken better care of our soldiers than I have. To think that I would, in front of generals and others, say,
Well, guess what?
suckers and
He
losers.
did.
We have 19 people that said it was never said
What
by
19
me.
people
It
said
was made
that?
up by him, just like Russia was made up, just like the 51 intelligence agents are made up, just like the new thing with the
He's doing the
16
sniff.
economists are talking.
Let me do it.
It's the same thing. 51 intelligence agents
doing that.
said
Ah, that
the
feels bad.
laptop
I don't wanna
was
do that.
Russia disinformation. It wasn't.
Oh, yeah,
That came
Donald
from
Trump's
his
got-
son, Hunter.
look at his teeth.
It
His
wasn't
teeth are, like,
Russia
bright
disinformation.
white.
He made up the suckers
got
and losers. So
a
he should
19 out of
apologize
19
to me right
dentist.
now.
Man, look
Four-star
at his
general
teeth.
standing to your side was on your staff who said you said it, period. That's number
I
one.
would say in terms of teeth
Number two,
ranking,
the
Donald Trump
idea-
is like
the
an A+.
idea that I have to
A++.
apologize to you
That's
for
what he
anything
said once.
along the line.
He said,
We've
I give
done more
myself
for
an A++.
veterans than any president has in American history. And they now are in their family. The only sacred obligation we have as a country is to care for our veterans when they come home and their families and equip them when they go to war. That's what we're doing. That's what the VA is doing now. They're doing more for veterans than ever before in our history.
All right, thank you so much.
Let's move to the topic of foreign policy. I want to
Oh,
begin
man.
with Russia's war against Ukraine, which is now in its 3rd year.
Oh, wow. It's already
Former
been that
President
long?
Trump,
Holy crap.
Russian President Vladimir Putin says he'll only end this war if Russia keeps the Ukrainian territory it has already claimed and Ukraine abandons its bid to join NATO. Are Putin's terms acceptable to you?
First of all, our veterans and our soldiers can't stand this guy. They can't stand him. They think he's the worst commander-in-chief, if that's what you call
It's
him,
like, what?
that we've ever had. They can't stand him. So let's get that
He's
straight.
like,
And they like me more
Ooh,
than
I don't know
just
about
about
that.
any of them. And that's based on every
He's old.
single bit of information.
both of them are
As
old.
far as Russia and Ukraine, if we had a real president, the president that knew, that was respected by Putin,
I feel old.
he would have never invaded Ukraine. A lot of people are dead right now. Much
Is Joe
more than
Biden
people
EXC
know. They
working?
talk
He's just
about
kinda
numbers.
like-
You can double those numbers, maybe triple those numbers. He did nothing to stop it. In fact, I think he encouraged Russia from going in. I'll tell you what happened. He was so bad with Afghanistan. It was such a horrible embarrassment, most embarrassing moment in the history of our country, that when Putin watched that and he saw the incompetence, that he should have fired those generals, like I fired the one that you mentioned. And so he's got no love lost, but he should have fired those generals. No general got fired for the most embarrassing moment in the history of our country, Afghanistan.
So
where we left
embarrassing.
billions of dollars
Also,
of
someone just
equipment
walked
behind.
past Joe
We lost
Biden's camera.
13
That was pretty
beautiful
wild.
soldiers, and 38 soldiers were obliterated. And by the way, we left people behind, too. We left American citizens behind. When Putin saw that, he said, you know what? I think we're going to go in and maybe take this was his dream. I talked to him about it, his dream. The difference is he never would have invaded Ukraine. Never. Just like Israel would have never been invaded in a million years.
I should
by
make that an
Hamas.
emoji.
You know
I
why?
definitely will make some
Because Iran
emojis
was
somehow
broke
out
with
of
me.
this.
I wouldn't let anybody do business with them. They ran out of money. They were broke. They had no money for help.
Terror.
During my administration.
No terror.
This place, the whole world is blowing
There is
up
no
under him.
terror.
President Biden?
I've never heard so much malarkey in my whole life. Look, the fact of the matter is that we're in a situation where, let's take the last point first. Iran attacked American troops cause brain damage for a number of these troops.
Joe
and
Biden.
He did nothing about it. Recently, not when he was
brain
president.
damage.
Here they attacked.
He's got
He said,
some
"Just
brain
tell
damage
them
there."
That's all it is. He didn't do a thing when the attack took place, number one. Number two.
Oh,
we
someone's
got
going to
over
make
100,000
a YouTube
Americans
poop and a bad
others
lip
out
reading. That's all going to
of
happen.
Afghanistan
It's going to take a
during that
couple of
era.
weeks, but
Number
it'll
three,
happen.
We find
It'll be
ourselves in a situation
wild.
where, if you take a look at what Trump did in Ukraine, this guy told Trump, do whatever you want, and do whatever you want. And that's exactly what Trump did to Putin, encourage him, do whatever you want. And he went in. And listen to what he said when he went in. He was going to take Kyiv in 5 days, remember? Because it's part of the old Soviet Union. That's what he wanted to reestablish, Kyiv. And he, in fact, didn't do it at all. He wasn't able to get it done. And they've lost thousands and thousands of troops, 500,000 troops.
President Trump,
I
as
never
come back
said
to you
that.
for 1 minute, I just want to
boy.
go back to my original question, which is, are Putin's terms acceptable to you? Keeping the
No, they're
territory
not
in Ukraine.
acceptable. No, they're not acceptable. But look, this is a war that never should have started. If we had a leader in this war, he led everybody along. He's given $200 billion now or more to Ukraine. He's given $200 billion. That's a lot of money. I don't
That's
think
a
there's
lot
ever
of
been anything
money.
like it. Every
Billions
time that
and billions,
Zelensky
everybody.
comes to this country, he walks away with $60 billion. He's the greatest salesman ever. And I'm not knocking him. I'm not knocking anything. I'm only saying the money that we're spending on this war, and we shouldn't be spending, it should have never happened. I will have that war settled between Putin and people being killed so needlessly, so stupidly, and I will get it settled, and I'll get it settled fast before I take office.
President Biden, you have a minute.
The fact is that Putin is a war criminal. He's killed thousands and thousands of people. And he has made one thing clear. He wants to reestablish what was part of the Soviet Empire, not just a piece. He wants all of Ukraine. That's what he wants. And then you think he'll stop there? Do you think he'll stop when he?
No, he's gonna.
If he takes Ukraine,
He's not gonna stop
What do you
there.
think happens to Poland? What do you think of Belarus? What do you think happens to those NATO countries? And so, if you want a war, you ought to find out what he's going to do. Because if in fact he does what he says and walks away, and by the way, all that money we give Ukraine are from weapons we make here in the United States. We give them the weapons, not the money at this point. And our NATO allies have produced as much funding for Ukraine as we have. That's why we're strong.
Thank you. Moving on to the Middle East. In October, Hamas attacked Israel, killing more than 1,000 people and taking hundreds of hostages. Among those held and thought to still be alive are 5 Americans. Israel's response has killed thousands of Palestinians and created a humanitarian crisis in Gaza. President Biden, you've put forward a proposal to resolve this conflict, but so far Hamas has not released the remaining hostages, and Israel is continuing its military offensive in Gaza. So what additional leverage will you use to get Hamas and Israel to end the war? You have 2 minutes.
Number one,
Looks like they're keeping
to the Israelis and Netanyahu himself have endorsed the plan I put forward.
that first
Endorsed the
debate
plan I put forward.
between
Which is 3
Biden
stages
and
to it.
Trump was such a
The first stage
disaster.
is
I'm sure they
freedom.
had to use microphones.
Hostages for a ceasefire. Second phase is a ceasefire with additional conditions. The third phase is the end of the war. The only one who wants the war to continue is Hamas. Number one, they're the only ones standing out. We're still pushing hard to get them to accept. In the meantime, what's happened? In Israel, we're trying to say the only thing I've denied Israel was 2,000-pound bombs. They don't work very well in populated areas. They kill a lot of innocent people. We're providing Israel with all the weapons they need and when they need. We had a full-blown intercontinental ballistic missile attack on Israel. No one was hurt. No one Israeli was accidentally killed, and it just stopped. We saved Israel. We are the biggest producer of support for Israel of anyone in the world. And so there are 2 different things. Hamas cannot be allowed to be continued. We continue to send our experts and our intelligence people as to how they can get Hamas like we did bin Laden. You don't have to do it. And by the way, they've been greatly weakened, Hamas, greatly weakened, and they should be. They should be eliminated. But you've got to be careful for using certain weapons among population centers.
Just going back to Ukraine for 1 second. We have an ocean separating us. The European nations together have spent $100 billion, or maybe more than that, less than us. Why doesn't he call them and say, you got to put up your money like I did with NATO? I got them to put up hundreds of billions of dollars.
Billions of
the Secretary
dollars.
General of NATO said Trump did the most incredible job I've ever seen. They wouldn't have any. They were going out of business. We were spending almost 100% of the money was paid by us. He didn't do that. He's getting all. You got to ask these people to put up the money. We're over $100 billion more spent,
Billions.
and it has a bigger
I knew there would be
impact on
billions
them
in this debate.
because of location.
I didn't know how
because
many.
We have an ocean in between.
We would be
You got
talking
to ask
here.
them as far as Israel and Hamas. Israel's the one that wants to go. He said the only one that wants to keep going is Hamas. Actually, Israel is the one, and you should let him go and let him finish the job. He doesn't want to do it. He's become like a Palestinian.
You have a minute?
I've never heard so much foolishness. This is a guy who wants
This
to
is
get
so
out of
much
NATO. You're
malarkey.
going to stay in NATO? He's going to pull out of NATO. The idea that we have our strength lies in our alliances as well. It may be a big ocean, but we're ever able to avoid a war in Europe, a major war in Europe? What happens if, in fact, you have Putin continue to go into NATO? We have an Article 5 agreement. Attack on one is attack on all. You want to start the nuclear war he keeps talking about, go ahead. Let Putin go in and control Ukraine and then move on to Poland and other places. You see what happens?
The art of
there?
the
He
steal.
has no idea what the hell he's talking about.
He needs the
And
art
by
of the
way,
deal.
I got
That's
50
for real.
other nations around the world to support Ukraine, including Japan and South Korea, because they understand that this kind of dislocation has a serious threat to the whole world peace. No major war in Europe has ever been able to be contained just to Europe.
And Palestinian state in order to achieve peace in the region?
I'd have to see, but before we do that, the problem we have is that we spend all the money. So they kill us on trade. I made great trade deals with the European nations because if you add them up, they're about the same size economically. Their economy is about the same size as the United States. And they were no cars, they don't want anything that we have, but we're supposed to take their cars, their food, their everything, their agriculture. I changed that. But the big thing I changed is they don't want to pay. And the only reason that he can play games with NATO is because I got them to put up hundreds of billions of dollars. I said, and he's right about this, I said, no, I'm not going to support NATO if you don't pay. They asked me that question, would you guard us against Russia at a very secret meeting? Don't pay, I won't do that. And you know what happened? Billions and billions of dollars came flowing in the next day and the next months. But now we're in the same position. We're paying everybody's bills.
Let's turn to the issue of democracy. Former President Trump, I want to ask you about January 6, 2021. After you rallied your supporters that
Hang on,
day,
y'all. We're gonna
some of them stormed the Capitol
restart
to stop the
the stream real
constitutionally
quick.
mandated
Just
counting
take-
of electoral votes.
It'll just take
As
2
president, you
seconds.
swore an oath to, quote, preserve, protect, and defend, unquote, the Constitution.
It'll just take
What do
2
you say to
seconds.
voters who believe
So
that
there'll be
you
a dropout,
violated that
but